Hi everyone, and welcome to my glittered Opal Milky Way tumbler tutorial. This here is a 30-ounce modern curve tumbler from Hog. I did an ombre spray painting technique using 3 different color of these 2-time Rust-Oleum paints. It's a coral, lavender, and sea mist. I already have my epoxy prepped. I think I have about 20 mLs of epoxy here. I usually mix up more because I usually have more cups to do. So you just want to smooth this on evenly. I am going to apply glitter using the epoxy method, so you really don't need much epoxy at all. I mixed up a lot more than I needed. You want to spread that evenly. I usually add a little more than I need at first to make sure I have even coverage, and then I pull some of it back off to thin that down a bit. I don't want my glitter to be moving, just want it enough to stick it to the tumbler and have a good seal. I'm just adding a little heat with my torch to pop any bubbles and warm the epoxy. It doesn't really matter if there's bubbles in the epoxy at this point. I'm going to add glitter. So I'm using 3 colors by theglittercraze.com. Bless Your Heart, Grits, and I don't remember the second one. These all are very similar opal, large, chunky cut glitters. They're very similar, but each one has a different color shift. This one here is opal with just a touch of like a green color shift with it. In the end, they all look so similar. I can't even tell really the difference between the 3 different glitters once they're on the cup. That was Grits. They are very beautiful though. They're very bright and shiny glitters. They're really nice to work with. They have good coverage. The second one has a bit of a pink tinge to it. The point with the opal tumbler is the base color that you paint your cup will shine through the opal color, and the opal will pick up those colors. So you'll see here in a little bit what I mean. That's why I spray painted the cup the way that I did, to separate the colors, to give a different color when the glitter is on. So I'm just covering the last bit here, and as it spins you can see the different colors in the spray paint shining through. This gives a really pretty ombre effect. Don't want to forget your bottom. I just dip it in there in the pile. That one has a pink blue flip to it, but as you can see, the opal glitters will pick up those colors on the base of the cup. So you really can use any color scheme that you like. These 3 colors, I just thought they'd look really pretty together. It's quite satisfying watching it spin. Next, I'm just taking my parchment paper and pressing it against the cup to lay those glitters flat. It will help when you put your epoxy on, so you don't have any big chunks sticking up. At this point, I realized that the glitters were all so similar, you really couldn't tell which glitter was which. So I'm just filling in some spots where the glitter pulled off onto the parchment paper and patting those down so that the epoxy layer that would come later can be smoother. Make sure you're always wearing gloves when you work with epoxy. I also wear a chemical respirator mask to protect my lungs. This is later. I had already put one layer of epoxy and let that cure for 12 hours. Here I am mixing mica. This mica is some mica powders that I had purchased from Michael's. It is a pretty pearl mica, and I used quite a bit because I wanted it to be pretty opaque. It's got a pretty shimmer to it. This mica is it's very similar to the first one. I believe the first one had a little bit of a glitter to it. This one is also a pearl. It was hard for me to tell before I started this. I wanted to use two different styles of pearl. This one has a little bit of a gold to it. This one is a mica that I purchased on Amazon, as I can see that they're so similar. So I decide to add a little bit of magic dust, microfine glitter from the glitter craze, to add some sparkle to the one pearl. I'm going to mix this up really well. And that is white alcohol ink, Pinata white alcohol ink. I wanted a more opaque color than to offset the shimmer of the pearls. I was going for a monochromatic look to the Milky Way. This is pigment paste for resin. I was going to mix this up and use it, however I didn't get around to using it. It's very similar to the alcohol ink, and on this Milky Way I wasn't looking to have too much movement in my Milky Way. I wanted pretty distinct swirl pattern with not a lot of movement so that you can see the beautiful glitters underneath. So here I am putting, covering the cup with a, not quite a flood coat, a little less than a flood coat, to have a base of resin to lay the colored and pigmented resin into the swirl. You want to be careful when you're doing Milky Way swirls. When you lay your swirl down, if you add a lot of heat, the more heat you add, the more movement you'll have. I've done Milky Ways in the past and added way too much heat, and with the turning of the cup and adding the heat to the resin, it moves too much, and then I lose that swirl. It turns into more of a straight streaking. It goes with the movement of the cup, so it's more of a straight lines. So I wanted to keep this more of a swirl to show that distinct pattern. I'm just adding enough heat here to pop any bubbles and move the resin just a little bit. This is the second one. I believe this is the one that has the microfine glitter in. It's hard to tell in the video the differences in the three whites that I use. However, later on when you see the close-up of the cup, there are differences. If you add too much, you can just swipe your finger across. I also like to swipe my finger across because I don't like the raised lines of the mica. Kind of looks like worms. So I like to smooth it out a little bit. It gives it a little bit of dimension. If you're anything like me, I have a problem with knowing when to stop I like to keep adding and adding and playing with it, playing with the resin until I get to where I need it to be. I'm my own worst critic, so I'm always kind of tweaking it and, adding to this. So now I'm just adding a little more heat there and popping my bubbles. When you add your mica like this, it will make bubbles. So it's starting to look more like I wanted. I mixed up way too much mica and alcohol ink. You don't need to add a lot. You, it is possible to add too much, so it's easier to add than to take away. So you want to make sure you have it the way you want it and go a little bit at a time. I was really happy with the swirl effect on this, and it started to look cloudy, like wispy clouds in the swirl. That was helped with the combination of adding a little bit of heat and running my finger through. Like I said, I don't like the lumps and bubbles and bumps that you get from just drizzling the resin on. I do like to go through and just pull my finger through and add that dimension. Plus, it's kind of satisfying. So it's coming along really well. You can see the beautiful color shift of the glitter under the mica swirl. This is one of those cups that really resonates beautifully when you see it in person. It's quite satisfying. Now that I think about it, I believe that I did not use the alcohol ink resin mix on this. Once I started adding the mica swirl, the two mica pearl powders on the swirl, I didn't believe that it needed the alcohol ink. Sometimes your plans change in the middle of doing a cup, and that's fine. That's what this is, art, and art is subjective and fluid, and you just kind of go with what you think looks good. And if I would have added more heat to it and wanted more cell action, I would have added the alcohol ink mixed with the mica, or I'm sorry, with the resin, but I was going for more of a pronounced swirl with this cup. Here I decided to add more of the magic dust microfine glitter along the swirl lines to just give it a little more sparkle. This is a very, very fine cut glitter, and I thought it would enhance the glitter, not take away from the opal underneath. It adds just that little bit more shine because, you can never have too much glitter. I love glitter. This is another technique you can use to add dimension Just run your popsicle stick through or a stir stick. Resin has a tendency to pull away from the edges of the cup, so on the top and the bottom, so I like to pull the stir stick through to make sure that the swirl goes all the way to the top. And you can see at the top of the cup there, we're starting to get that straight line effect across the rim, and that's what I'm using the stick for also, to drag that resin down. A little more heat, pop your bubbles. Don't hold your torch too close to your resin, you could scorch it. We're just about done, but you don't want to forget your bottom. Some people like to put their logo on their bottom. I don't really do that. I like to just add glitter or whatever I'm doing with the cup. But you can do anything you like. The longer the cup spins, the more beautiful the swirl becomes evident, and it really truly does look like a beautiful Milky Way. And here's the finished product. As you can see, that opal glitter with that colored base just is so gorgeous. The purple, the seafoam green, and the peach, just, they really just, I just can't even, there's no words to describe. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you like, please like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.